Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? We were talking just in the break that in the last hour or so, the Saints Super Bowl odds have dropped dramatically from 50-1 to 20-1. That according to one service that puts out odds. Is this a done deal? Are the Saints getting Deshaun Watson?
Well, if that's happening, I'm assuming Vegas, they typically know something. That's what I've remembered in life and heard in life. And so, to me, I felt like they've kind of been the favorite as we've gone through this process. And you look at it, and I feel I've prepared myself that this is going to happen. And I know so many people have opinions one way or the other, or just stuck in the middle, conflicted with not even sure how to feel about the possibility of Deshaun Watson and if that comes to fruition. So I'm preparing myself as if it is going to happen.
Do you know, we've seen a lot of different reports. There's so much information out there. Do you know what the Saints have offered Houston for Deshaun Watson?
I don't know what they've offered. And frankly, I haven't seen any reporting that's even really said what anyone has offered. I know the parameters is that we want 3-1 and then probably players. And so you could see deals floated out there. So I would assume it would be 3-1s and then more. And then, look, you just compare it to what Denver had to send Seattle, and that was 2-1s, a couple more picks, and 3 players. And so it's probably going to be something like that. And Houston's probably asking for more because, Russell Wilson's approaching his mid-30s, and Deshaun Watson's still, 26?
Yeah, 26.
So I think the price is going to be higher for Watson. And, look, I think the Saints have to be willing to pay it. I mean, that's why they're in this conversation. So they had that. It sounds like they're willing to pay it. And the other disclaimer is it sounds like they've got the permission of owner Gail Benson to go through this deal, given the blowback that will happen if/when the Saints acquire him.
Okay, I'll get to that part in a second, but let's stick to the potential trade. So let me ask you an opinion, because you're right, there are a lot of hypotheticals that have been thrown out. What would you be okay with the Saints trading to acquire Deshaun Watson? And I mean, it's going to be 3-1s. We've heard a couple of 2s and then a player or players. What would you be comfortable with?
I don't know if I'd even be comfortable with 3-1s, but maybe I'm just playing conservative. And it's funny because they're not my picks, and yet I'm still hesitant thinking 3-1s, but I could probably talk myself into, all right, 3-1s is fine, because if you get Deshaun Watson, you're an instant Super Bowl contender. So those picks will be deeper down and be, if you're in the playoffs and NFC championship games and maybe a Super Bowl, those are basically 2s. So how do you go about that? And also, it's not like the Saints have, it's not like they've struck it rich with their 1s lately. So are you talking Marshawn Lattimore, Ryan Ramczyk 1s, or are you talking Peyton Turner? And look, Marcus Davenport has played well as of late, but we're talking about that as your 1s, and they're just blown picks anyway, seemingly right now. So I could probably talk myself into the 3s, but I feel like I just would have a hard time doing it. But again, Deshaun Watson, when you look at him as a quarterback, his 2020 season, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Second in passer rating, a site that I go to a lot, Sports Info Solutions, they have metrics, and he was the number 1 quarterback in the entire league that year. So as 3 picks and the future at quarterback, is that too much to pay? Probably not.
I'm stunned that you would hesitate at all. The only way you're winning in this league is with elite quarterback play, and you get a guy who you just said is arguably the best quarterback in the league at 26 years old. I mean, this is not a take 3 ones, take 3 ones, 2 twos in a play. I don't care. You get Deshaun Watson, it's ball game. I mean, Larry, when would you ever have the opportunity to get a Deshaun Watson on your roster again? You'd have to be terrible and draft in the top 5 or top 10.
I probably said, well, here's also the thing. There's a reason why he's on the market, because of what else is surrounding him. We can't ignore that. I mean, that is there. That is an issue, and we don't know what's going to happen. And perception-wise, look, he's the CEO of your company. Basically, that's what I've been programmed to think of, thanks to Sean Payton. The quarterback is the CEO of your company, and the CEO of your company has 22 civil suits against him for sexual assault and sexual misconduct. So there's a reason why he's on the market, and that is probably part of my hesitation there as well. Me personally, I can't discount that at all.
I guess my struggle with that is he was not indicted. If that's your stance, then you have convicted him in the media. And I struggle with that. I'm not ignoring the allegations, but through due process, a grand jury declined to indict this man. Like, what else should we go on?
Well, what if a judge decides to award these complaints $umpteen million? I mean, it just depends on your point of view. That's the thing. Like, you can have a different point of view than I can have a different point of view. I get it, and that's the conflict that people are going to have with this. And so there is no talent-wise, it's a slam dunk. But also, if these didn't exist, he would never be traded.
No. Let's move on to cover a little bit of other ground. Watson's obviously the big fish, and it's the big play right now. What's your thought on the Marcus Maye deal?
Look, I think it's a viable replacement, and yet you've got some question marks there, and there's a reason why he comes at half the cost of Marcus Williams. And like I heard you in your open, everything you're saying is accurate. I mean, he's 3 years older than Marcus Williams. Same draft. He was playing free safety, and then he got moved, to make room for Jamal Adams, and then he was kind of moving back and forth. And he's coming off an Achilles injury, and he's also got a DUI that maybe that he concealed, and the NFL could suspend him. Not forever, but you could be without him possibly. That's again. I feel like we've talked about all this way too much this offseason, or even maybe the last year, with problems legally with and around the Saints. But he's not Marcus Williams. But for the price and the market, and to fill that spot, I think it's probably the best you can do. I know they've drafted safeties a lot over the years. I mean, that's how they got Von Bell. That's how they got Marcus Williams. I mean, that's how they got Malcolm Jenkins. But still, like, if Maye can be anywhere near his form from a couple years ago, then you might be in good shape. But again, we have to see that as it is. I think that it's a good deal, but you couldn't go full bore after someone. I feel like Tyrann Mathieu is someone you're going to have to pay a lot more for. So I think they had to kind of be picky and choosy there, as opposed to go all in after Tyrann Mathieu, which I heard you earlier. He's a better fit than Maye. I think he'd be a better player, but they can't spend all their money with that.
Any other player or position you would like to see or would assume the Saints would address here in free agency?
Well, they have no left tackle, so that still needs to be addressed. I mean, Armstead is still floating out there. He's a free agent now. So what do you do? I know they have someone, if he walks in the building, probably James Hurst. But maybe you go pick up a left tackle there. But it's not like you're going to break the bank on a left tackle. You probably draft a guy. I would like to maybe a tight end, but I'm trying to think of the tight ends that are on the market that you'd feel really great about. Wide receiver is certainly a position you look at, but there's no way they're breaking the bank on a wide receiver. It's maybe a running back, because Mark Ingram, who knows how long he's going to be there. But again, you don't want to break the bank on a running back there either. And I'd also look at linebacker. Laquan Alexander's a free agent. I mean, is Pete Werner ready to be an every down starter? Zach Bond, is he? Probably not. So something in those realms. But I mean, it all comes down to what happens with Watson, and then you figure out everything else after that.
No doubt. I mean, that is the linchpin. You got to wait for that domino to fall, and then we'll figure everything outside. That could be Teron Armstead as well. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.